Returning to Rosario was lovely. Lots of feelings mingled. I had played on that very pitch. This was a return to a pitch where I had scored so many goals, so many lovely goals.
Muchos goles bonitos.
In Rosario, Mario Kempes, the player the fans called Matador, became the beating heart of the team, a new hero for the nation.
He was this, very long-haired, kind of sexy-looking player, and very powerful. Whenever Kempes got the ball and started these runs, very powerful runs from midfield towards goal, there was this feeling that a goal-scoring chance was imminent.
Catching the defenders again. Kempes, 2-0.
2 goals from Kempes finished off Poland. Under the rules of the '78 tournament, the winners of this second group stage would go through to the final. But Argentina's last game against Peru would put a lingering question mark over the achievements of Menotti and his team.
When Argentina had to face Peru, it was make or break. The World Cup was organised in such a way that that was essentially the possibility of being knocked out of the competition. The game was played after Brazil had played the equivalent game, so Argentina knew exactly the goal difference they needed in order to remain in the tournament, and it was 4 clear goals.
General Videla was in the stands to give his support in this hour of need. Just before the match, he had made the curious decision to visit the Peruvian dressing room.
Oblitas, the Peruvian player, told me that Videla spoke about Latin American brotherhood, about this great opportunity Latin America had to show itself to the world, about Latin American unity. According to what Oblitas told me, these were words from a dictator which intimidated a group of young players.
When you use such a speed merchant. 1-0. Oh no, he's hit the post and the goal was taken.
After a shaky start, the goals began to flow for Argentina.
Batarina, Kempes. 1-0.
Yo relaté un partido que me pareció normal.
I was doing the commentary on what I saw as a normal match. It was fear, stage fright from the Peruvians.
Gran pánico escénico de los peruanos.
By the second half, Argentina had reached and gone beyond the magic number of a 4-goal lead.
2 goals in a minute. 4-0 to Argentina.
No me parecía descabellado que la Argentina estuviera jugando en su casa.
The fact that Argentina playing at home was 3 or 4 ahead didn't seem absurd. When you're winning by 3 or 4 goals, to extend that to 6 or 7 doesn't take much.
No es una aventura.
And Ortiz is really attacking the defense. Right past them, and Houseman scores. Carigi in trouble. La Rosa. Luque! 6-0. And he put it away as if he hadn't got a care in the world. Which they haven't now. They're in the final.
But there were immediate suspicions that the game had been fixed. And these seemed to be confirmed with later allegations that bribes had been paid and deals done between Argentinian and Peruvian generals.
Everything that was later talked about was very difficult for me to come to terms with, because I had to own up to my own naivety. At the time, I hadn't considered this at all.
The players remained vehement about their own innocence, and whilst acknowledging the junta's capacity for criminality, they remained sceptical about the allegations.
Creería que no, y ojalá que no. Ojalá que no, porque si hubiera sido cierto...
I believe not, and I hope not. If it were true, it would diminish the fact of our winning the World Cup. Looked at another way, though, if these people were capable of such atrocities, they wouldn't have had any qualms about fixing a match. Personally, I don't think they did it. Not because they had the moral principles not to do it, but I don't see how they could have done it.
Personalmente pienso que no les fue fácil hacerlo.
As fans celebrated, General Videla now came into the Argentinian dressing room to offer his thanks. Here was an opportunity for defender Alberto Tarantini. Despite his euphoria of reaching a World Cup final, Tarantini remembered the victims of Videla's dirty war, a part of his life that allowed no forgiveness or forgetting.
I had 3 friends who had disappeared at the time of the military, and I went to ask about them. The regime didn't pay me the slightest bit of notice, didn't even give me the time of day.
To get one small moment of revenge, Tarantini now had a bet with Captain Daniel Passarella.
I said to Daniel, I'll bet you $1,000 that if he comes, I'll rub soap all over my balls, and when he comes up to me, I'll shake his hand. So he said, "You're on."
The day of the final, people poured onto the streets of Buenos Aires in a state of frenzied expectation. Argentina was now 1 game away from winning its first World Cup.
Tremendous excitement. I was thinking all the time, I'm actually watching a World Cup final in Argentina, and Argentina's playing. And the feeling when the teams came out was really unbelievable, because it was the most incredible reception I think an Argentine football team ever got at the River Plate Stadium.
Amazing. It was just amazing. You stepped out onto the pitch and you could feel it moving, the people screaming. It's so hard to explain. I thought I had the people, I could feel their breath on the back of my neck.
The Argentinians were up against what many considered the best team of the 70s, Holland. The Dutch had their own style of play, the total football, which had taken them to the final in 1974. It took all the determination of the Argentinians to keep them out.
Galvan, red.
Johnny Rep, a la altura del tiro penal.
Johnny Rep was round about the penalty spot. He was alone, received the ball, stopped and whacked it, certain it would go in. Well, my reflexes, one of the best things about me.
In the first half hour, the Dutch had the better of the play. Then, up stepped Matador.
Okay. Kempes! 1-0.
In my whole football career, I had never scored a goal like that one. Ardiles passes it to me and I dribble. Pass one guy and I'm running level, then I slide to the ground, and when the goalie comes out, I shoot and it rolls under him. That was the first goal.
It seemed a single goal would confirm Argentina's date with destiny. Then, 8 minutes from the end, the Dutch equalised with a header from substitute Naninga. In injury time, with a nation on the verge of a nervous breakdown, the unthinkable.
I was in the middle of the pitch, so I could see the move, see the ball. You know, I felt the silence. They shoot, it hits the post. And everybody went like this. Everybody's heart stopped. With
this lucky escape, and with the score at 1-1 after 90 minutes, the two sides faced extra time. Menotti tried to convince his players that Holland's moment had gone.
He said, "Lads, that ball didn't go in. We are the new world champions. But we have to put in one last effort in these 30 minutes. They're dead. They don't want it anymore."
As both sides began to tire, there was one last flourish from Kempes.
It was a goal full of emotion, a goal that had suspense because the move was beautiful and the finish almost gave you a heart attack. Because the two Dutch guys are on the ground and I'm turning around to see if the ball had gone in. Well, at the moment of celebration, I didn't know who to hug.
And then a pass from Kempes allowed Bertoni to secure the match for Argentina. The final whistle prompted dazed moments of ecstasy and one moment of holy communion between players and fans.
The match finishes and I'm near the D. My legs give way. I fall on my knees. Fall on my knees. I cross my arms. I see the image of God in front of me.
I knelt down and crossed myself, went towards the centre of the pitch. I don't know what I did then. Somehow I went back and saw Philo kneeling down also praying, and I hugged him.
Tarantini comes over. He kneels down in front of me, hugs me. Along comes a boy with no arms, and he throws himself on top of us both.
This photograph, which is known as the hug of the soul, would become in Argentina the defining image of this exhilarating but turbulent tournament. In the evening, the focus of the celebrations moved from the Monumental to the streets of Buenos Aires. At a time when public demonstrations were banned, celebrating footballing glory allowed a night of liberation for the crowds.
Flags, ticker tape, it was like a carnival, it was a party in the streets. It was, truly a party in the streets. And as the hours went by, it became ever more apparent that this wasn't going to quieten down.
I know of people who, because of the World Cup, went onto the streets for the first time since the military coup. Big gatherings have been banned. A lot of people who went out to party managed to meet people they hadn't seen since the coup. Political activists, for example, who had gone underground.
The day after the victory celebrations, General Videla went onto the balcony of the presidential palace, the Pink House, to receive the acclaim of his people. Videla could be satisfied he had got what he'd wanted from his World Cup. But despite World Cup success, torture in the Escuela Mecánica de la Armada continued. drugged victims were taken in unmarked cars out of a back entrance, transferred to planes and helicopters, then dropped into the waters of the River Plate. It's thought up to 30,000 disappeared in these years of military rule. Yet weekly protests by the mothers of the disappeared in front of the presidential palace also continued as awareness of the junta's crimes increased. But as the 80s began, there was a new confidence about taking on the military.
En marzo del 82, la gente protestó por primera vez en modo enérgico contra...
In March 82, it was the first time that people fiercely protested against the dictatorship. They went to the plaza and almost knocked down the government house gates with a fence. I was covering the march. I remember that right in front of me there were armed civilians opening car doors and aiming guns at people. One person died.
With their popularity